your partners, other vendors, no one is not talking about AI, right? So, but I believe AI is just at the beginning, right? So there's a long way to go, but we have to endorse AI and have AI in the product, so make people's life easier. Also, internally, we have to use AI to make us more efficient.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to have a follow-up question with that, but I'm going to throw this into Cisco. How should organizations rethink their digital transformation strategy in the light of recent AI breakthroughs and innovation?
We've seen digital transformation has always been seen as, how shall we call this, converting what is analog into digital. What used to be manual processes is converted to digital, and existing business processes that are digital is made better or more optimized. Now, when we put AI into the mix, it begs the question of how do we make these processes actually better and more efficient? Because one of the myths of AI, and it's not just us saying here, but many people in the industry, is that AI is seen as a bolt-on. You put AI on something broken in the first place, it's still going to be broken. So that when we have a better appreciation of what AI can do, we have to take stock and take a look at your business processes that are affected by digital transformation, and not just simply automate it, but look at ways to optimize it before we bought AI on top of it. So,
Great point. Question from our yes, JB, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Hi, good afternoon. When I was going around and talking to the panelists before and after the in between sessions, there was this recurring idea that AI is great, but it seems that we are at some disadvantage because the cost of electricity is very high in Southeast Asia. For the Philippines, it's the highest in Southeast Asia, even higher than Singapore. So I'm wondering, is this, how would you reconcile that, and from your experience, how does that impact ROI, and how would you sell it to your customers? Is this something that they take into account, or bulaga, you're just surprised when they say, oh no, it's very expensive because the cost of everything is so high? That's my question. Thank you very much.
so just zeroing on the power cost. You mentioned power cost. Okay. If you look through this, not just the Cisco UCS server portfolio, but to be fair to all of our other brethren in the industry as well, there's always been this emphasis on making the servers and making infrastructure more power efficient. So when you look at every other brochure or every other sales pitch from every other vendor, including people in this table, there's always a big section on sustainability. When you run our equipment, the power that is spent per AI, I think the measurement now is per token. Na monetize na eh. What's the cost per token? And the cost is an inclusive cost of everything from power to water to data center to everything, etc., etc. So that's one, making the hardware more power efficient. And it's always an ongoing innovation. Yearly, every time we come up with new systems, it's always more power efficient. That's a commitment from the different brands. The second is there are many ways to deploy AI. It's not just deploying it on your own data center. You can deploy it hybrid. Everybody here can do their own research and ask ChatGPT what are the different ways to deploy AI, and you will get a myriad of answers. From everything running on the cloud, which means zero to no power consumption on the data center side, to hybrid and splitting the AI workload between the cloud and your data center. So that's another way of kind of optimizing your resources, including power. So those two things.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, just to add on it, I think Singapore also has a very expensive power rate, and yet they have a lot of data center there. Okay, and I think right now they have stopped building data center because of the availability of power. Okay, so I think for Philippines, I don't think really the power rate is really the roadblocker for all these data centers. Maybe the data sovereignty law probably would be the one to encourage a lot of investment in the Philippines. Yeah. Yeah, and especially with the presence of a lot of green energy, the power cost actually is already going down. Yeah.
Actually, I want to add one thing about power consumption. We used to have this debate as well, because everyone knows GI large neural model is power hungry, right? So, but think about it, the productivity gain, right? You used to do work in 8 hours, now get done in minutes, right? If you in the past, 8 hours, how much energy it consumes? Now you get things done in 1 minute, how much power? You have to look at that way too. So you have to look at things in the perspective.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead. John.
Good afternoon. This is a question from the statement of Hearns, but anyone can answer. Basically, you said it's garbage in and garbage out when it comes to AI. But my question is AI already mature at this point in time that AI itself does not contribute to the the problems that we are seeing right now, like let us simplify. In the case of ChatGPT, if you are on the free version, and even if you are paying, you are getting hallucinations. So my question again is it already dependable across the spectrum of industries that AI is now being applied? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be able to answer that. Basically, using AI nowadays is already a key part of business success. And I think we have graduated from the so-called kindergarten playground of AI, as a lot of companies for the past 2 to 3 years have been doing. We've been experimenting, we've been testing, but I think it has come to a point where a lot of IT leaders, business leaders are now really looking at it as a priority, because a lot of changes have happened to the technology ever since. So that's why a lot of companies such as VMware is actually putting in these solutions out there to make it easy for companies to be able to then integrate and add artificial intelligence into their existing IT system. And even more than that, it's also very important to have stronger governance, so that we will be able to run AI using our private data safely, right? And it should be able to support, of course, this powerful GPU related tasks. So really giving our IT leaders the capability to be able to run these AI related tasks, like large language models that are now much more advanced, be able to do training to this model, inferencing, for example, and be able to do that in an environment that is basically allow us to run all of these innovative tools alongside our regular applications in a single common platform to really get our organizations ready for the future.
Thank you. Sir Johnson, I have a question for you. H3C positions itself as a one-stop shop solution provider across networking, security, virtualization, and cloud spaces. How does AI fit into this ecosystem, and does H3C already have dedicated AI products, or is AI being integrated into your existing portfolio?
Okay. AI actually is already big part of how H3C support data transformation. H3C not only have AI box, it is designed for government, finance, education, and healthcare, where keeping data private, compliant is very important. H3C AI box can help customers run AI locally instead of put it on the public cloud. And actually also have built up our AI features into SDN-based networking management platform. We call it AD Campus. The AD Campus can make network smarter. It can help to detect the issues, adjust the network performance, and predict the problems before it happens. So it can less the downtime and either management. Overall, whether H3C AI Box or AD Campus, H3C goals is to make AI practical, secure, and useful to help our EU to move data transformation to AI transformation.
And it simplifies AI adoption. You make AI adoption more friendly. Any question from our?
No, I think.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Yes.
I wanted to actually address the question the gentleman talked about, the maturity of AI, right? So, I think we all know that, in today board level conversation, enterprise, organization conversation, AI is definitely a hot topic, right? In fact, actually in Singapore, there are CEO who actually tell their first line manager to say, spend like a few hours of a week looking at how AI is going to help you, right? In terms of your function, in terms of what you do within the organization, right? So, but on top of AI, I think the underlying what is actually important obviously is cybersecurity, and I think Fortinet has actually been in the cybersecurity business for the last 25 years. So we have been actually using AI for the last 20 years. We started off looking at AI. Part of the reason is to really detect the unknown. Because if we are looking at that vast set of telemetry data, it is virtually impossible to get human to actually do that. So we have to actually start creating our own data model, and we have to start creating our own hire our own data scientists essentially to actually optimize our data model to make sure that when we detect the unknown, we can actually detect it at scale and with very high accuracy. In fact, actually, when we talk about AI in Fortinet context, we are not talking about just Gen AI. I mean, there's always two phases that I always use when I talk about AI. First thing is AI for security, and the other one is security for AI. So how can we leverage AI, essentially to help organization better defense against the bad guy, at the same time augmented, the resource constraint that we have in the industry. Second thing is that, when you start, talking about garbage in, garbage out, your LLM, your model, how do you actually ensure that, those parameters are actually secure? Because what you really do not want is data poisoning, right? So that is actually, something that I think the industry is really looking at it as a whole. Implementing AI not only helping business processes, in the security context, in the networking context, essentially in everything. Yeah, so the aim, I always say, AI is not to replace human, but to make human better.
All right. Go ahead.
Sorry, I want to also address the question. When you're talking about maturity, the question of maturity. Well, let's take a look at maturity in two aspects. One is the technology mature enough, and the second is the adoption mature. In both respects, the answer is no. We have just, Sam Altman of OpenAI has said many times that we are just at the start. It's just the tip of the iceberg. From an adoption standpoint, we've seen a lot of enterprises that are in the early stages of even understanding what AI is and what it can do for them. From a technology standpoint, look, the concept of a thinking machine was put on paper by Alan Turing in 1938, during the 30s before World War II. And what is it now? Close to 100 years later, we're still talking about thinking machines, which is essentially AI. Now, if you look at the progression between, for example, ChatGPT 4 and ChatGPT 5, I don't remember anymore how many parameters is the difference between 4 and 5, but it will just simply grow. It will smarter in a sense because it will consider more and more inputs. In fact, there have been statements that the LLMs that are out there in the world right now, like Copilot, Perplexity, Anthropic, and so on and so forth, including ChatGPT, has already consumed all of the data in the internet. Naubos na. There's nothing else to learn from content in the internet. But is the content of the internet stagnant? No, it continues to grow. People still upload videos on YouTube at a staggering rate. There's still human knowledge being uploaded in the internet at a staggering rate. So we were just at the tip of the iceberg in terms of the data that's training the AI. And it's getting better. In fact, OpenAI have said several times, and even people like Microsoft have said the rate of hallucinations have been decreasing because of the advances of technology in AI. Yung feedback mechanism ng AI is also something that's very important. Remember, this is a learning application. AI is learning, continuously learning.
I actually have a related question beyond technology. What should organizations do to build the long-term cyber resilience in an AI-powered world? Our cybersecurity experts, anyone?
Okay, sorry, what's the question?
Beyond technology, what should organizations do to make sure to build rather long-term cyber resilience in an AI-dominated world?
Okay, I mean beyond technology is still go back to basic. Right? I mean we still require the 3P, essentially the process, the people, as well as the product, which is the technology, right? So as I said earlier, essentially technology can actually help you to eliminate a lot of unnecessary, repetitive kind of action. But at the end of the day, during my demo actually on yesterday, I also talked about even when we start using agentic AI in helping organizations to essentially reduce a lot of manual work. But at the same time, we also put in barrier to make sure that at the end of the day, the decision is actually being taken by the person who take the final call. Because you don't want AI to be so automated that at the end of the day, you disconnect the CEO, PCL from the network. Yeah, so process is important, because if you don't have any process in place, because different companies have different process, then you cannot translate into automation that you want that will work for your company, because not all companies operate the same, not all processes are the same.
Great.
Sorry, I want to add one point. The people, right? It says repeat. People is important. If you look at all the attacks, breaches happen today. How many involving humans, human errors, right? So how many people click phishing emails, right? So even for us, every employee come to the company, I have to go through training, right? So humans are actually the most important factor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, actually, just to add with regards to artificial intelligence, number one, AI is really moving very fast, and it has really drive changes faster than anything else. And AI has helped us in many ways. Like say, for example, on a personal thing, we would say that now everybody can write better English. Two, we can ask AI to look at contracts. In our presentation before, we used to hire a third-party public speaker for the announcement. Now we use AI. So in video, in graphics. So there's a lot of things that AI can really help. Okay. There's also of course Copilot. Of course ChatGPT can help. But again, garbage in, garbage out. That's why it's very important that in the respective company, you really take care of your data. Okay. Because if you have a good data in your company, then you can come out with an application to really be able to analyze the data that you have for your business. Because the most important thing is to be able to come out with some application for your company to have the competitive advantage, and to make faster decisions, be more efficient, and reduce costs.
Also, I think beyond technology, I wrote it down so we won't forget. There are three things. First, governance. The general questions around how are we going to use AI? Where are we going to use AI? Where are we not going to use AI? I think everybody in this room have kids in school, or most of you have kids in school. When ChatGPT came out, a lot of the schools, especially the school of my children, their first bawal, diba? Bawal gumamit ng ChatGPT. But over time, it evolved. Sabi ng school, you can use it, but there are specific parameters wherein we can use it. You definitely cannot use it to cheat because we now have found ways to test whether you have actually cheated. And some of them manual and not involving AI. So governance is number one organization. Second is compliance. What compliance within the organization, also national compliance as well. The chat with Secretary Aguda, no? We had an interesting chat about the journey of compliance when it comes to AI for the country. And the good thing for us is marami na nauna. Singapore has a framework for that. The EU, although very strict, meron na rin silang framework. So we're not starting from scratch. I believe the Philippines is also on the way of building compliance regulations on AI because everybody recognizes that this is going to be permanent. And the third thing is on the organizational level is cultural readiness. You cannot just, every other technology, di ba? We cannot just simply throw technology to our people without making them ready. And there are emerging disciplines and expertise across these three areas. That's why ang hinahanap niya ng mga organization, apart from the technology, because that's the expertise of this panel, paano yung governance, paano yung cultural readiness, paano yung compliance.
Thank you. Allow me to put VMware on a spot. What role does VMware play in enabling AI adoption at scale?
Oh, yeah. So basically, when you talk about AI today, right? It's not just about adding GPUs. It's really much more than that. You need to be able to come up with this infrastructure policy first, where you will now be able to evolve your infrastructure as, of course, rules, regulations, and business use cases also evolve. Right? So, we have to be able to let our IT leaders be able to run all these AI-related tasks, such as being able to tune these models, run inferencing, even the latest trends, which is what we call agentic orchestration. Yes, so really, getting your organizations ready to be able to grow, especially in this fast-paced digital world.
Bob, were you raising your hand?
Bob?
Okay.
Dito kayo.
Okay, yes, Marlon.
Marlet Salazar. Yesterday, Cisco released the AI Readiness Index, and I think I'm not sure about the numbers, but AI adoption is around 80%, and effective use cases is around 20%. So why is there an imbalance between rapid AI adoption and use cases? Actually, Time called this a messy race to AI. So.
That's an interesting observation. No? I have to read the report myself, so I may need to correct this after this session. But that imbalance comes from the fact, I think that because ChatGPT came out in 2022, it became mainstream. Everybody in the street, everybody in the world equates AI with ChatGPT. So pag gumamit ka ng ChatGPT, automatic alam mo na kung ano yung AI. Yun yung imbalance. But when it goes to organizations, businesses, government, they just realize na hindi lang pala ChatGPT, ang AI pala hindi lang ChatGPT. So we need to find out, for example, what are the use cases that is applicable for us so that we can get the best return on investment. That accounts for the low percentage. Because it really has it's been a challenge for a lot of organizations to find the right use cases and not just simply acquire AI as the newest thing. Minsan ganun di ba? Nagiging sabi nga ng mga Amerikano, hood ornament. The nice flashy thing that, that people would admire you for having. But at the end of the day, magagamit nyo ba talaga? I think that's the one that accounts for the imbalance.
Or the FOMO, fear of missing out.
Oh yeah, fear of missing out is the other thing. Diba? Parang nag-uusap kayo sa dining table, yung nanay mo nag-chat GPT na, ikaw hindi ka. Kaya naman. So, gano'n ang nangyayari.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Bob Reyes. Siguro for all of the panelists, aside from AI and the governance around AI, what other pressing issues or problems the local ICT industry is currently encountering, and how do you plan in overcoming this problem?
Again, as mentioned many times, data is very important. Okay, so if your company doesn't have has corrupted data, then it's really very difficult to implement AI. Another one is that your digital infrastructure has to be very stable. The good thing with AI is that now AI is almost everywhere. It's built in cybersecurity, built in stories, built in a lot of apps. So that's the good thing. Yeah.
Sorry, I also agree with Jamie about the data, right? You always saying that data is the new oil, right? You have to have the right data, right? Especially everyone talk about ChatGPT. I think we all use ChatGPT every day. But there's special applications, right? For example, legal. You have to look at all your IP patent applications. Generate a new application just focus on patent applications, right? The patent application itself, the data set, right? So for medical applications, they use the medical data as data set. We are in cybersecurity. We have to collect cybersecurity data, then apply machine on top of it. So data and the AI have to go hand in hand.
Yes.
Sir Changmin, I was reviewing yesterday. I was looking at your index reports in Gartner. So what other steps are you looking into to make your brand on top of the Gartner reports in terms of the technology driven and the deep security that you have?
That's a very good question. Actually, our goal is not only work with the Gartner. Our goal is work with the customers. Once you have great customers, Gartner will recognize you. Because Gartner usually have three types of clients: vendors like us, customers like yours, or investors, right? So we have to make sure we take care of the customer first. Then Gartner will take care of us.
Okay, Sir Jimmy, boss, from 200 to 1,000 plus right now your strength. What's your secret in keeping the balance of getting the best brands in selection? How do you support the brands, the customers? And of course, this CXO is very successful. You meet the clients, the vendors, and also all the other your integrators. How do you keep it up? It's already the 8th. What do we look into the 9th?
Well, again, it's a never changing industry. I mean, the industry is changing so fast, okay? And one of the objectives of VSTECS is to be able to provide the right solution for all our partners, which is the reseller and also the end user. Okay, so it never changed, especially let's say in cybersecurity. There's so much change in cybersecurity, and there's no one company that can really supply the whole portfolio of solutions. Okay, there are others that are more stable. The PC are more stable, but we carry most of them. But now there's a lot of EV products also, like we also carry e-motorbikes. So there are a lot of products that we carry, and one of the reasons that's why we're quite successful is with the support of our vendors and with the support of the press and the support of our partners. Yeah, but it never ends. It keeps on changing. Yeah. We are still in a continuous effort to look for the right solutions for the Philippine market. Yeah.
And a question for Ernst. You were saying yesterday you need AI to defeat AI. And the question is, how will we know that we already adopted the right AI platforms? And how do we secure that your infrastructure is already stable and secure with the advent of advanced AI, agentic AI, and so on?
No, I'll echo what Jimmy just said a few minutes ago. It's an ever-changing landscape. It's never the same. So even Fortinet, they're a competitor, but they see the same thing. We see exactly the same thing. The threat landscape is always ever changing. What the zero-day attack of today may be the mainstream attack of tomorrow, and it will disappear, and then there will be another zero-day attack. So the great thing about infusing AI into security measures is that you're basically fighting fire with fire now. Kasi the bad actors are using AI. You should be using AI as well. Because if they're gonna be able to automate all of these things, the defense mechanism should be automated and smart as well. So to answer your question, I guess you're alluding to the fact kailan ba matatapos? Hindi matatapos no. It's an ongoing, I don't want to use the WAR word, but it's an ongoing conflict, let's say, between us and the bad guys, and it always changes. It always changes. It will never stop.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Hello. Yesterday, Mr. Paulsky of BDO said that please stop throwing buzzwords at us and give us real use cases or before we adopt AI or the technology that you were selling. If you were to talk to Mr. Paulsky, what would you tell him as a banker about use cases in this industry?
Okay, let me address that question. Okay, every company would every company is different. Okay, depending on the industry, banking have their own requirement, government have their own requirement, manufacturing has their own requirement. Okay. There are ways where each of the vendor carry their own respective solutions. Some are into storage, some into servers, some are into cybersecurity. So they address different needs. Okay. Now it's the role of the system integrator to be able to integrate them all together for the requirement of each of the customer. Okay, so those are actually the main responsibility of the system integrator is to help companies like BDO and other company, and the one that would really help a lot are more on the applications. Okay, and application is really the one that would make a big difference with regards to the AI application for its company. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd have to go, I guess for me, there has to be a really comprehensive and deep discussion about, for example, in this case, if it's the bank, if you were to sit in front of Mr. Policy, one of the key questions is, what is really the biggest problems of the banks right now that we can solve through technology, and how do we both envision AI as how you understand it, help to solve that problem? It's not just a PowerPoint presentation. It's really a deep discussion about a lengthy discussion, and maybe you'd have to go back several times to really narrow down what the problem is, what are the biggest problems and what are the biggest aspirations of the business is, and then come up with a framework of a solution. And then once you have an agreement on the framework of that solution, then you can move forward to adopting technology. And from time to time, you throw in some buzzwords kasi you have a choice. Diba? There sometimes you cannot really explain a lot of things without using buzzwords. Wag lang unahin ng buzzwords.
Sorry. I think, let's say if you look at, let's say as taking Paul as an example, in the banking industry, right? For us, we always look at, within the banking industry, what is the current trend, right? And I think there is actually a few things that we see is happening in the banking industry. Obviously, digital banking is a big thing, right? A lot of banks are trying to, do digital transformation to ensure that, at the end of the day, they can actually get to as many customers as possible, especially the millennial customers, the new customers who don't prefer to go to the physical bank. They wanted to do everything digital. We also seeing back that, going through leveraging on AI, what the industry call multi-modal AI. So multi-modal AI is like, I'm leveraging on multi-data set, whether it's going to be structured, unstructured, video, voice. Essentially for me to look at as a bank, operate as a bank, have the ability to detect whether this is a fraud or not a fraud as quickly as possible. Because there's a lot of scam that's actually going on. I mean, I'm sure you have heard story, people lost 100, 200,000, just within a split of a second. And in fact, actually Singapore right now, they have this cooling period. You withdraw, let's say, more than 50% of your money from a bank, the bank will stop and won't allow you to do that. And you will wait for 24-hour cooling period before they allow you to do it again. If you really need the money, let's say example, you need to draw 100% of all your bank money, you got to go to the bank. So they don't allow you to actually do transaction online. So again, all this new AI innovation that the bank are actually putting through, right? As a cybersecurity vendors, we always look at what are the possible attack surface? Where are the possible attack surface that we can actually help them to make them secure? And we look at, I think if I could recall, if actually you presented one talking about the various attack vectors. So those are the area how we align to the MITRE ATLAS attack. Where are the technology that you can apply essentially to make sure that and you embark on this journey, you are secure. So it is very use case specific, like what Jimmy said.
Hi, hello. I'm Marlon from I'm sorry. Nandun ako parang 10 years ago.
Kailangan mong mag-upload ng
That's
bago.
AI.
Enhancing. Okay. This is rather a basic question, somehow related to Art's question, but I would still want to hear your remarks. So what's your company's take on, your company's foresight on AI's takeoff on the Philippine businesses in the next few years?
Okay, let me start with VSTECS. Okay, we do understand that AI is going to be very important and it's going to be a strategic advantage. Okay, so we are implementing quite a number of AI plans. Like number one, we're upgrading our ERP so that the ERP has to be has all the AI features, so that whenever there's going to be query questions, that the reports can easily come out. That's number one. Number two, we're also implementing a software called Reentry, where it's like with all your documents, anybody can. It could be on the HR side, it could be on the customer side, it could be on the sales report side, where with respect to specific control, you can ask as many query as possible. Okay, and then there are other applications, of course. The Copilot is also helping everybody to be more efficient. ChatGPT, DeepSeek, all these applications also helps my salespeople. They use ChatGPT before going to the customer. At least they're ready, prepared to answer some of the questions. Yeah. So more or less, those are the things that we're doing for VSTECS, because we feel that if we implement AI, then we can be way ahead against our competitor. Yeah.
Let me answer your question from my perspective, right? This is my first time I came to Philippines in this event. It's a great event. Thank you, Jimmy, for this one. So in this event, one thing I learned is, I'm not sure how much you know about Stellar Cyber, right? We produce this AI-driven autonomous SOC platform to secure your networks, right? Your devices and your systems. So we heavily leverage AI, right? What I found through this event is SOC relatively young in the Philippine market, right? In the past, because a lot of people using SIEM, SIEM, for run SOC. For example, some of SIEM very expensive or complex or manual process involved heavily. So make SOC very tedious to use, right? So we modernize the SOC platform for our customers, right? We can heavily use AI to simplify, right, the tasks, make the tedious task more easily. So SOC analysts can focus on more advanced threats. So we see a huge potential for us in the Philippine market. We can heavily invest in the Philippine market.
I think for Fortinet, I mean, you know, what we are looking at, you know, AI actually from two areas. Yeah, one is really to actually, you know, put as much AI into the technology that we use to support our customers. That I call external facing, right? I mean, we got, you know, using AI, you know, essentially, as I said, to protect the organization, assist the organization, and also to secure the organization. But internally, we are also using it, you know, to actually optimize our overall business process, right? And also to ensure that we use AI to improve, you know, and make our employees actually more efficient. Example, you know, we have our own ChatGPT, which is a ChatGPT that belongs to Fortinet. And you know, and it's being used actually by, you know, our support team. But ultimately, we wanted to actually expose these to our customers. So when the customers can just go to a ChatGPT, they can ask a particular question, and it will actually provide them with all the solution. Essentially, also to help the customer at the same time to help ourselves. So we are trying to really look at, you know, how we improve and optimize the whole overall business process, and to end, you know, delivering a better customer's experience. Because, you know, like some of the panel mentioned, right, customer is definitely our first focus. Okay.
Yeah. I've enlisted the help of Copilot to answer that question. So just so I don't get it wrong. Okay, so there's this Gartner came up with something called the hype cycle. I don't know if you heard of it. Every emerging technology that comes out, for the past 30 years, internet, mobile, etc., may have tinatawag na hype cycle. So what's the hype cycle? First is there's called innovation trigger. Let me read it verbally. New tech sparks interest but lacks proven use cases. So ChatGPT came out in 2022, everybody wanted a shiny new technology called AI. Second is peak of inflated expectations. Media hype drives unrealistic hopes. So may hype, diba? There's hype, there's unrealistic expectations, and people are investing a lot of money in it. And then the third is the throw of disillusionment. Reality sets in, and many projects fail to deliver. We haven't seen that yet because we are still in the early stages of investment pagdating sa AI projects. But history has taught us that we will actually go through this cycle. There will be a throw of disillusionment. And then ito, very flowery words ni Gartner. Slope of enlightenment. Ibig sabihin nun, practical applications emerge and adoption grows. So among the thousands of use cases that have failed, there will be very few that will be proven. Then finally, there's a plateau of productivity. The tech becomes mainstream, mature, and widely adopted. So reading through that, I guess we can all form our own opinions kung nasaan tayo sa AI pagdating sa Pilipinas. But in our opinion, in our observation, we're still at the peak of inflated expectations.
Hello. This question goes to yeah, that's AI news. They don't have to post for a picture. Anyway, lately, several networks are carrying a single alarmist theme that a large number of AI applications, agents, tools are built by enterprises for themselves are failing implementation, especially in the pilot stage. More so for large enterprises. Among your peers or within your industries, how rooted is this to reality? They're saying it's twice the failure rate of typical IT projects. And if yes or no, what are the common challenges that actually lead to failure? And what are good practices that you can share to for proper implementation? Thank you.
Ako, I wouldn't say, I can't really say for sure if it's twice the failure of previous projects, but there are definitely failures and there are emerging failures. And if you watch carefully yung mga announcements ng mga AI projects ng not just companies in the Philippines, but international, but organizations as well, it will be interesting from a few months from now to a year from now kung nag-succeed ba yun o hindi. It becomes a CEO discussion. The CEO proudly tells their shareholders and the public that we're implementing this project in order for us to be productive. A year later, na kaya yung result. Maybe a year later when we're all back here, we can have the same discussion. But definitely, may mga failures. And from the discussions that we have had from people, yung unang is doing too much too soon. Masyadong malaki yung project. A lot of expectations, big investments, hindi na kukuha yung ROI. So start small. Yun yung control. Okay. We need to start small and do a little bit of experimentations that we can afford to fail. And then once we fail, na maliit, you can start experimenting again. That's culture of innovation that we've seen from a number of organizations, including Cisco. I mean, we've done small mini projects internally that admittedly have not seen the light, but we learn from that and then we grow from there. Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, hi. Good afternoon. I'm Mark from techpinas.com. So, the ICT Secretary Henry Aguda opened the day with a very insightful talk about the digital roadmap as well as the vision for a digital-first Philippines. So I just want to ask everyone, this is a question for all of you, how open are your companies to working with the Philippine government for the nation's digital transformation? And if so, what challenges or hurdles do you foresee in doing so?
Well, definitely, I think everybody's answer will be yes, of course, we will support the country, okay? That's what we want. We need to improve the country's digital infrastructure, but the government has to be ready also to act on it, yeah. So definitely, we all want to support the government. And one of the things that I've always been requesting from the DICT Secretary is the data sovereignty law. Because if there's the data sovereignty law, then there will be more data centers that will be built in the country, yeah. That's my personal opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, I would answer the question. Of course, we want to work with government, right? So actually, we do have government as our customer as well. I just want to answer the previous question the gentleman asked, right? So to make the AI successful in any organization, you need two things: from top down and bottom up. What does that mean? Top down means your all members, your executives have the mindset, right, to support AI usage in the organization. Second, you need to educate all your employees to use AI as well. So we do see failures for sure, but if we don't have top down and bottom up, that's not going to happen, right? So we also see great successful examples. I was just reading an article this morning. Salesforce put a new job called COFO. In the past, the CEO, Chief Operating Officer, the CFO, called Chief Financial Officer. Right now, they combine into one organization called COFO. Why? Because they want to enforce AI usage, right? How we also hold Accenture, right? Accenture is a consulting firm, right? They ask the employees to train. Otherwise, with the time limit, you don't train yourself, you will be let go. So that's how organizations make AI more productive in the organization, right? You have top down and bottom up.
Actually, just to add also is that you don't implement AI just for the sake of AI because sasabi mo, because uso yan, okay? I think the most important thing is that you really have to identify the problem that you have in your respective company or respective area. And then do you have the data and all those things? Because if you just implement anything, you'll lose a lot of money, yeah. So identify the problem, the thing that is critical to your respective businesses and use AI there. Because if you use AI, a lot of things will be faster. Yeah.
As someone who personally covers the public sector territorial this year, there's a few things that were very encouraging in Secretary Aguda's talk that he had. First is you see a lot of picture where BBM is actually present in a lot of the launches. Fiber backbone, that's a great example of the government really investing and really being serious about investing in digital infrastructure, starting with the basic infrastructure of connectivity. And the fact that we see the president himself being there in these events shows the seriousness of this government. We will definitely pursue a digital first agenda. In other words, kumbaga sa kumpanya may executive support. You have the support of the CEO. And then si Secretary was also saying a lot of things about the president having conversations with him one-on-one na ganito dapat. So it shows a lot of seriousness. Now on the ground, we've also seen a lot of investments coming from the government. A number of projects have been released that are all in line with the digital first agenda. Hindi naman downside, but what are the things that we think that the government should improve on? In-acknowledge na rin naman ni Secretary Henry. First of all, yung procurement. I'm not saying that the procurement is bad, but it needs to be shall we say, it needs to be faster and in being more efficient. Kasi oftentimes, as such say, because of hindi nakakahabol sa technology. Nagpa-RFP ka ngayon, tapos mag-award ka a year later. So lampas na. The window of innovation is already passed. We all know in this room that innovation, it goes very fast. So if there's a way for us to somehow streamline that. And the other thing that I kind of nagbumaon sa utak ko yung nag-pre-approve na raw siya ng ISSP. Di ba sinabi niya yun? That is a very big thing, and I actually clapped when he said that because totoo yun, ang daming mga government agencies ang nagsasabi na the reason why we could not release any funds for any IT project is because our ISSP is not approved yet. So nung sinabi ni Secretary Henry na pre-approve lahat yan, it will unlock a lot of investment from the government. And everybody here in this table, including Sir Jimmy, would gladly help the government spend that money to improve, to go with to put the vision of the president for digital first, di ba? Sabi lang ni Henry, meron na lang daw tayong 2 years para gawin yan, because ang term ng BBM 2 years na. But we hope that that would still continue in the next administration.
Let's hope for a brighter. Let's hope for a brighter future. Marlon, you have a question? Joel, you have a question? Okay, please.
I was about to ask you the same question from Mark. Hello, thank you. My question is, what would be the top challenge of the government when it comes to AI and blockchain? How would it move this strategy forward? Considering the 2-year deadline that the Secretary mentioned.
I think resistance to change and maybe budget.
Budget, resistance.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is resistance to change. Yeah.
It's also rooted, I think, on the education. Kasi, I mean, you talk about blockchain. I mean, I don't think everybody in this room would really understand what blockchain is. And then more so blockchain in application as an application to governance. So imagine educating government decision makers on what blockchain is and how we're going to use blockchain. So that in itself is already posing a big challenge so that they can understand. I mean, from practical terms, if you're in front of the Pitch and Awards Committee of a project, explain mo sa kanila kung ano yung blockchain. You should probably address that question to Secretary Aguda, so because him and his department is also partially responsible in educating the government on what AI and blockchain can do. So part and parcel din sa sinabi ni Sir Jimmy kanina.
Thank you.
And I think one of the good things is that our president is really very much into the digital transformation. As probably you see, he encourages all government, local government to really to move into the digital platform. Most of the applications are now digital, unlike before. Everything is on paper. Our immigration form is all using e-gov, so everything is digital now, which is a good thing. Yeah, and I think that's the first step. Yeah.
Allow me to ask this question to Sir before we close the media briefing. It's past 1 already. How does H3C differentiate from other global technology vendors operating in the same space? I know a while ago you mentioned that you position your brand as a one-stop solutions company.
Actually, among all the top brands in the ICT industry, I think H3C have the biggest potential. And now a lot of partners in EU already start to recognize this. So they already started to join our ecosystem. And H3C, we are the only one brand in the same team doing networking, security, server, virtualization and cloud. We're the same team doing Campus One and data center solution. The same team doing enterprise level products and the SMB runway projects. Together with H3C, single management, and one-stop shop together with H3C, our partner have the biggest opportunity to have another growth. Together with H3C, we are open to hear from all of you, being the reliable, the most reliable, responsible, and reasonable team. So let me interpret what is H3C. The letter H means highly. The letter 3C is the consist of three core values: creative, and care. That is H3C. Thank you.
The last question for me before we go to that. Jimmy, you mentioned about the data sovereignty law. Can you just expand just briefly the significance for the industry, for the vendors, for the government, for the country? So why are you pushing for it?
Okay.
Thank you.
In the rest of the world, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, of course China, they have this data sovereignty law or data localization law. Okay, so what does it bring to the country? So companies like Google, Microsoft, AWS, all the hyperscaler are investing in the respective country. Okay, so what we're missing in the Philippines is that those big hyperscaler, those big data center are not investing in the Philippines because they feel, oh, we can serve Philippine market anywhere in the world. Okay, like our government is using AWS or Azure, and their data are not here in the Philippines. Okay, so if the data sovereignty law is approved, it will there will be more FDI, there will be more jobs for the Filipino people. Yes, there will be requirement for more power, more energy, and maybe there's more investment on the green energy as well. So the overall change is going to be very positive for the country. Okay, more investment, more purchases of computer equipment, and faster latency. Okay, because it doesn't have to go out of the country; it's within the country. Yeah, I think it's all positive for the country. Yeah, the only thing is that there are some resistance from somewhere. Yeah, but I hope it gets approved. Yeah.
Would it be mas cost effective if we just go to AWS or Azure?
No, because if there's no data sovereignty law, they won't come here to invest in the Philippines because they can serve it anywhere. So walang extra gastos eh. Yeah.
All right, I think we have to close the media briefing, but guys, feel free if you want to sit down and have a one-on-one discussion with any of our panelists, please. They'll be with us until the end of the conference.
And once again,